Vinnie.
On this week's edition of Yo, Vinnie, what are you driving this week? What if I could show?
Yo, Vinnie, what are you driving this week?
Have a little fun. It is a fun day here out at On this week's edition of Yo, Vinnie, what are you driving this week? What if I could show?
Yo, Vinnie, what are you driving this week?
Have a little fun. It is a fun day here out at
You're listening to Drivetime Radio.
Remember, just plug in. I'm ready.
There we go, gas or electric, whichever way you like it. We got it on another edition of Drive Time Radio. At least we're here. At least we made it onto the airwaves this morning. A very happy Saturday morning to you. New York Vinnie here with you, Drive Time Radio, every Saturday morning at 11 o'clock or thereabouts. I apologize again for the being a little tardy here this morning. By a considerable amount. Just had a little bit of an internet problem this morning, but we got it going. We got it fixed. You know, it's a little crazy because, I have the T-Mobile internet, 5G, whatever it is, flies around through the air, and I love it. It's a great internet service. I love their service, but every once in a while, it gets a little wonky, like everything. And I mean, you can't expect all the stuff we have in our modern lives to work well all the time, right? I mean, you'd like it if it went that way, but unfortunately, the reality of life is that things don't work at the push of a button every time. They try to get them to work at the push of a button, but as anybody will tell you, it's been around for a considerable amount of years. It just doesn't always work that way. But we're here. That's what counts. If you miss any part of the show, we are always on tape video after this, so you'll be able to replay the show thousands of times and listen to my dulcet tones coming to you. All right? Oh, man. It's been a crazy week. Let me start it out. And I know, listen, it would be easy to start out about the failures of this and that and the other thing. But let me start it out by just talking about what we witnessed yesterday as this great country of ours. And yes, I'll still call it a great country, if you please, because I still believe that this is a group, an assemblage of people that can do great things when we have the right leadership, the right people appoint us in the right direction and to help us out. What an accomplishment yesterday of this whole thing about going to the moon and swinging around the other side and coming back, watching. Listen, this is the stuff that when I was a kid was like unbelievable. Like it was fantasy. It was, you couldn't believe that it was happening. Everybody wanted to be an astronaut. Ideal so the space station that looks suspiciously like the Lunar Excursion Module. We did the feature last week with the car that they General Motors and Boeing got together and built so that they could get around on the moon. It's just so much good stuff about the trip, the scientific stuff that's done, the experiments, the ability to work together, this piece of life that had four people working in harmony in a space capsule for, what are they up there, 10 days, 9 days, whatever it was. And seemingly without glitches, without anybody getting into a fight, any of that kind of stuff. It was just a sign to me that we still are capable. We are a society that is still capable of doing great things and still capable of displaying and working together toward doing things for the benefit of each other as opposed to the tearing down of each other. If we could just get our heads out of our asses sometimes and see that and work together and be able to make things run as smooth. And this is coming from a guy who couldn't get a show on the air 15 minutes ago, but working things out so that we can work together, not worrying about what country somebody came from or this or that or the other thing, but getting the people that are good and want to work and to put them in a position to succeed, to put women in a position to succeed by giving and helping them with childcare so that they can bring their kids up with some supervision and some, an ability to be a loving mother and a loving father and not be so stressed out all the time about having to worry about, milk is up another buck a quart at the store. All of the stuff that we worry about. Wouldn't it be nice if, to go along with the space stuff, we could get the other stuff together and maybe start to live that dream? And that's all I'm going to say about it. It was just a proud day to be an American, a proud day to wear your red, white, and blue, and a proud day to see that these people could work together. Now, how that will translate into our daily lives, damned if I know. But I do know that I was proud of all of that yesterday. And then on the other side, you got the Mariners who couldn't pull a tarp off a statue of Ichiro without breaking it. And listen, I know that was, I don't know if you saw the tape of that, where they pulled the tarp off of the statue of Ichiro that was dedicated yesterday in front of Safeco Field, in front of T-Mobile Field. And the bat broke. It bent. It happens. Somebody didn't put a support in the right place. Somebody didn't measure the metal. So lucky it wasn't a bridge that they were building or something like that. It was just a piece of metal if fatigued. But again, a great day for the Mariners. And to be honest with you, if they would have pulled a cover off of that thing and nothing would have happened, it would have been another statue being unveiled at another Major League Baseball stadium, right? Big deal. But looking at that whole thing, it was on all the national news and everything. The Mariners really had their moment in the sunlight yesterday, even though it was a little cloudy. They had their moment of sunlight. Ichiro got his thing, and this statue out front, and everybody is a happy camper down at Safeco Field or T-Mobile Park, whatever you like to call it. All right, we got a show today that's going to be interesting if it all happens. We have a, I love to talk about cars on this show. I love to talk about this. Is what we do. We talk about cars. We look at cars. We delve into the different stuff that's going on with cars, the different moves that are being made by the car companies, the different prices of gasoline, all of that kind of stuff that's happening. We try to give you once a week at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning a chance to get all your information. We try to make you smarter at the end of the show than you were at the beginning. Price of gasoline, I think it stayed fairly stable for the most part this week. Really felt, we see the pennies increases in places where you really saw it was the price of diesel, which should worry everybody because diesel fuel is what America uses to get everything where it's supposed to be going. There's not much around that doesn't get transported on a truck. And the truck uses, everybody say it together, diesel fuel. So, according to Gas Buddy and a few of the other websites to keep tabs on things like the price of gas, it was a week that saw some stability, even if everything was a little crazy in the parts about where we go to open up the Straits of Hormuz. Are they open or everything? And that's another thing that was going up and down all week. But it seems like they're, according to these websites, some stuff getting through. And so that's a good thing. Whether they can settle this problem and get it back to where the gas is coming out again, and the fertilizer and the diesel and everything they need to keep our country and several other countries running. Well, we don't know that that's going to happen, not going to happen. I don't know. Can't help you there. It's a different story. What I do know, though, is that it seems like it's settling out a little bit, and that's good. And that ties into something that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the program. There's something that I have seen and has really kind of piqued my interest. Thought it was very interesting about a trend that we're seeing in automotive. And this has nothing to do with new cars, but it has something to do with the leisure and the way things are going in things that we are doing with cars to enjoy ourselves. I was made aware of this. Somebody I know from belongs to a couple of car clubs and knows a lot about this stuff, and said to me, Vinnie, do you know about the classic road trip movement? Classic car road trip movement. And I said, wow, what the heck is that? Sounds cool. And what people are doing, I guess, is they're, as a part of the nostalgia of Route 66 and its 100th year as a way to come out west with motor vehicles, and before that with covered wagons, whatever they came out west with, Route 66, that traversed the country thing was a route, was a place, was a thing where you'd go out, you'd come back to go to California. It's the place you had to be. Anyway, so people are now renting or leasing or buying, for that matter, spending their hard-earned retirement money in buying a quality, good, clean, classic car and taking that trip across country. That Route 66 trip. Well, they could be doing it with other things as well. Other routes is 90 and 80 and 70 and, but the idea is, and it kind of hinges on, you took a road trip when you were a kid, that great family road trip. Your dad, your mom loaded you all up in the car and you took that drive across country. You took that long road trip down to Florida. You took that road trip from Seattle down to the Rose Bowl. Remember that? If you're in Seattle, you probably remember that, when Washington would get to the Rose Bowl, Pops would load everybody into the, 62 Oldsmobile, and you'd take that trip down I-5, or what was I-5. A lot of it was 99, was, different routes that were patched together, and you'd wind up in Pasadena for the Rose Bowl, maybe a trip to SeaWorld, a trip to Disneyland, over the mountains, coming over the grapevine, all of that great stuff. Well, people are hungry for that nostalgia these days. So what some people are doing is instead of going out and renting an RV or buying an RV and spending a few $100,000, they're finding themselves a nice classic car that, one that maybe their dad had. Like my dad had a 63 Cadillac sedan DeVille. Beautiful car. I love this car. And I was, and they're finding these cars, fixing them up, or if they're fixed already, finding them in good condition, and they're putting the family in that car and taking a road trip in it. Now, it's not, a car with all of the accoutrement, safety stuff, and everything that you would find in a vehicle these days. But talk about an adventure. Talk about something where you're not going to get just your regular road trip where you pull into a pilot house or or one of those places and you fill up and you keep going. No, if you're driving a 63 sedan DeVille from here down to Southern California, you better prepare to spend some time in some places because a lot of people are going to come up to you. They're going to ask you about that car. They're going to talk to you about it. They're going to want to experience what it's a great way to meet people, a great way to talk to people. In a society where we all look at our phones all the time, here's a way that people are finding that they can look at people and talk to them with that common denominator being the car and talking about that road trip, and other people talk about it. I think it's a great thing. I want to do it myself, to be honest with you. I want to get a classic car and scoot across the country. I'd love to find a 63, 64 Cadillac like my dad had back in the 60s and take that thing across country. Take my time, take, 3 weeks or so. I mean, I've driven back and forth across the country enough times that, you know the turf, the routes. It's all different. It's all full of chain stores and Walmarts and everything. But to find those places that bring you back to what it was at one time and to feel a little bit of that and to absorb that and to maybe just get a little bit of what your parents might have been experiencing as they drove you across country or they drove you down to the Rose Bowl with your sisters, your cousin or your Aunt Kate was in the back. You know how it goes, right? So anyway, that's something that seems to be a thing, and we're going to jump into a little bit more. Andy Lilienthal from Crankshaft Culture is going to join us in just a couple of minutes. Andy did a great article this week that he posted on Crankshaft Culture, knowing Andy's going to appear in a few other places as well, about getting that classic car that you might be taking on this trip ready to go. One of the things about driving a classic car across the country, across the street, to Tacoma and back, or driving across country, is you got to be prepared. It's not like you're going to break down or something, God forbid, and you're just going to be able to go boom and fix it and go. There's parts that maybe you can't get. There's difference. It's not all wired up like a computer, so you can fix certain things yourself. You have an opportunity to fix little things that go wrong, and you carry the stuff to do that. Carry the equipment to do that. Carry a toolkit. Yeah, a toolkit. You have that opportunity, and in some ways, it can make the experience a more rounded one, a more holistic one, a more accomplished one, where you feel like you can do some things yourself. I follow a lot of people on YouTube and stuff, but I do follow this one woman that built out her van and learned how to do through YouTube a lot of repairs herself, and has gotten stuck a few times with her van. And she's used YouTube as a guide to get her to show her how to fix little things on the road. And it's been a great learning experience for her. Now, granted, her van is newer, and so there's a lot of plug and play, but she's also learned things about repairing this car that she may not have learned if she just rolls it into the dealer and rolls it out again. I'm not saying you're going to become a certified mechanic, but what I am saying is there is an enriching experience in life, not just by rolling it into a mechanic, but by learning how to do some of these things for yourself. Learning how to fix a car for yourself. Learning how to talk to somebody and say, I'm having a problem with my car. How can I fix it? Can you help me? And maybe you learn how to change a starter, or maybe you learn how to clean a carburetor, or maybe you learn how to do some of these things that are that you used to have to know how to do to own a car. There was a time when you used to carry a kit, a tool kit in the back of your car. So if something went wrong, if it was raining and you blew a set of points or a condenser or something like that, you opened up the hood, you took the distributor cap off, you cleaned it up a little bit. Maybe you took blew some air into the points to dry them off, and you waited a little bit, you sewed it all back up again, and you started your car and you were on the way. There was a great sense and feeling of accomplishment in doing that. You didn't feel helpless. One of the problems with today's cars, in my opinion, is that people feel helpless around a car. And you can make a good case that they're designed that way so that you can't fix anything. So that you have to take it to the dealer or a mechanic, and they're going to, make a ton of money, $200 an hour or whatever the labor rate is, to fix your car, and you feel like a complete idiot. But it wasn't always like that. There was tons and tons of people who fixed their cars themselves. Saturday afternoon, man, you'd go, to a parking lot or a fella's garage or some and people would be gathered around with toolkits, borrowing tools, and they'd be fixing the thing up, get the car ready to go, changing your old oil. As a matter of fact, I just saw an article this week about a guy who's getting ready to open up a chain of self-repair shops. So instead of you taking the car into a dealer, your car's out of warranty, it's a bunch of years old. You take it to this place, and for a certain fee, you can borrow tools, you can use a lift, you can do all of these kinds of things that give you a sense of not just ownership of the car, but the ability to work on the car, the ability to feel like you have some control over your destiny with your car. And let me tell you something. There's no greater feeling in the world is when you're stuck somewhere and, you got a flashlight and, a couple of tools, and you get your car started after it won't start. There's something, I suspect it happens for women like it does for men, but there's just a sense of accomplishment, a sense of feeling that you get under the hood of that car and you get it going. And I wish this guy a lot of success with that. I think it's something that a way of socialization that we so sorely need in this country. All right. Let's look at the gas price charts there. I want to take a look at gas, buddy. Whacked out gas prices. Again. And in reading the gas price, the 18-month average retail price chart, regular gas, $4.16 a gallon is the USA average. That's cheap around here. I mean, I don't think you're seeing it much under $5 a gallon, 4.95 anywhere around here. With Costco probably being the cheapest, but it's from January when it was as low as it had been in a couple of years, shuffling in at it was 273 a gallon, and then the war broke out. Now we're up to 416. This is for gasoline. So it's something that you should pay attention to, especially if you're in the market for a car. Average gas price for Mason County here in Washington, $5.46 a gallon. This according to Gas Buddy's average price map, their heat map, $5.46 from Mason County. Let me see if I can find a couple of more in here real quickly. Just to look, 486 in Oregon. In Seattle, King County, $5.59. Average gas price, King County, $5.59. They say it's going to go up more, although there seems to be an area of negotiation and peacefulness right now with the ceasefire that's going on. I find it hard to believe or trust anybody in the situation, but hopefully cooler heads are going to prevail and people will stop getting killed and we'll come to some kind of resolution on the gas prices and we'll be able to breathe a little bit better again, and families won't be so taken to the bank for everyday necessities. Because again, you look at that diesel price and it's nuts. Like I said, I've seen it now, $7 a gallon. I didn't think that was going to happen until July, but yes, $7 a gallon for diesel fuel. Everything in this country moves on diesel fuel. Trucks, cars, the cars that carry them, the trains even run on diesel fuel. They're diesel electric locomotives. So there's no way you get around diesel fuel. Everything runs by it. So hopefully the people that negotiate these kinds of things will be able to come to some agreements, and maybe at some point we'll see within the next month or two some relief. The price of gas starting to go down a little bit. Don't count on it, but at least there's a glimmer of hope. Much as there was a glimmer of hope with these people coming in off this moon trip, there's a little bit of a glimmer of hope with people in their trips on gasoline, wherever they want to go. One thing that may bring some relief to people is I saw an article earlier this week that says that my favorite gas station, and maybe yours too, Costco, which are, if you're like me and you belong to Costco, you go there to buy your gas because it's top-tier gasoline. Their prices are among the cheapest gas prices in the country. And this article said that Costco is getting ready to open up a number of standalone gas stations. Now, what I mean by a standalone gas station is that no Costco, it's just gasoline. No service, no tires, nothing like that. The only thing is you're going to pull in, you're going to fill your car up with gas, you're going to pay for it, you're going to take off. I don't even think they'll have hot dogs. Be a nice idea because I'd like to go get a hot dog without having to stand in line for gasoline. But your low price leader in gasoline is now talking and planning on giving you an alternative that is not just having to go to the store, doing it as a service to their customers. Costco has always been that kind of company. That's why you can get a pizza, slice of pizza, and a Coke for what is it, $1.50, $2? I mean, it's been that way for years and years and years. They'll never change that, or at least I don't foresee it changing in our lifetime. But it's a great tribute to Costco and the people that work there and the people that make that place click. And they're going to be doing this now, it looks like, all over the country. I think I saw that it will get started out here. And I guess they'll go boom, boom, boom. And believe you me, if there's any place that needs relief from high gas prices, it's the West Coast. Washington, Oregon, California. So good luck to Costco with that. You know, part of it's a reaction. Buc-ee's. We haven't seen a Buc-ee's up here yet, unless you went down to spring training. I guess they were telling me that they opened up a Buc-ee's in Goodyear, Arizona. Maybe somebody has seen it and they'll dial us up or send us a message and let us know where the Buc-ee's is in Arizona. But this Texas gas station chain has now gotten into retailing on a nationwide basis. And these places are incredible. They're a sight to see. It's a tourist attraction. And Buc-ee's is doing a land office business in stuffed bears, barbecue, and gasoline. I don't know. Is Buc-ee a bear? It's a beaver, isn't it? I don't even know. Anyway, so great news for Costco people. And great news for the price of gasoline, because more outlets means that the price is going to go down. The competition will show that to be true, hopefully. Now, the other thing that Costco is doing, we talked about this a few weeks ago, that I think is going to be really interesting, is they're also putting space in their parking lot at several Costco stores for electric charging stations. So if you have an electric car, you'll be able to pull into Costco, plug that thing in to a quick volume charge, and while you're inside filling up your shopping cart to bring it out to the car and load it up, your car will be getting charged. Now, I don't know if the plans have changed on this or not since this latest gasoline brouhaha is going on. But Costco has always been smart at this kind of thing. So keep an eye on what they're doing, because they seem to be a very good trendsetter in this area. And we showed you a few weeks ago some artist renditions of what that could look like for Costco customers. You go in, charge your car up, and when you come out, it's charged up, and you're on your way with a $1.50 slice of pizza, a Coke, enough toilet paper to supply the whole block, and a full charge on in your battery. Could be better. Edmunds had its first cars in coffee. Well, it wasn't the first. I think they had done one last year, but Edmunds had their first cars in coffee of the year last Sunday. I think they're going to do it every 2 weeks till September at least. I did not get down there. It was Easter Sunday, so I went out to the service out at Alki. And but I heard from several people that it was a success. It was a very nice Cars and Coffee, and hopefully the people at Edmonds Cars and Coffee will compliment the people at Shoreline Cars and Coffee, and vice versa. And those two groups will get to know each other and enjoy each other's company, and you'll be able to go out and see that as well, and have some connectivity. Car show season is getting cranked up. This week, I'm going to take a ride out to the former Triple X. Now, still kind of Triple X, but Burgomaster took that over out in Issaquah. One of my favorite places to go on Gilman there to get a burger and a float and to watch the cars go by. Burgomaster took that over, and all work is going along as scheduled. And when they get that thing finished, hopefully we'll get out there for a grand opening. And that vital piece of car culture will be reactivated and be a place where people will go. It's a great crowd out there. If you ever go out there on a Sunday afternoon and just sit around and bring, obviously you have your camera with you. I say bring your camera. But if you like cars, you'll see a little something that you've never seen before. You'll see something that you've never seen before. They have done a great job when it was Tony's place. I believe his guy's name was Tony that owned the Triple X Root Beer, and I expect that the Burgomaster people are going to do a really good job. So it'll be nice to see them succeed in that spot, and hope you will go out and support them. Our show is brought to you, speaking about support, by my good friend George Jackson, GJpromo.com. If you need business items, if you need business promotional items, if you need T-shirts, jackets, keychains, you name it, George Jackson will get it for you, and at a good, fair, decent, and serviceable price. And by serviceable, I mean the guy knows what he's doing when it comes to making his customers happy. He's a guy that you want to deal with. You'll be happy that you dealt with George. He's a solid dude, and he knows how to point you in the right direction for anything you need in terms of business promotion. And so if you have a business and you need patches, buttons, logo design, you name it, George can help you out with that. T-shirts, he did my T-shirts a few years ago when I did my In a Coma, Not Tacoma tour, and did a fantastic job on them. I hope soon to have those T-shirts from my storage vault and be able to wear them. In 5 years, my clothes are still in Pittsburgh. You believe it? Excuse me. But we're going to get that taken care of in a couple of weeks. And anyway, GJ Promo. If you need promotional items, pens, all the different kinds of things that you buy to keep your name, the name of your business, top of mind awareness, George has got it for you. And he will get you set up. GJ Promo is the way to go. GJpromo.com. He will get that taken care of for you. All right. As I said, one of the things that people are talking about, making around, it's not a big major movement yet, but there's some buzz about it. And that buzz is that people are saying, I remember that year that I took that road trip down to Disneyland with my dad and my mom and my sister and brother, and we fought about who was going to get the middle seat. And my father turned around 10 times and says, "If you kids don't shut up, I'll throw you out of the car right here." It was standard operating procedure for a road trip. And you played license plate bingo, and you did all this kind of cool stuff that went on. And not only did you have these trips where you bonded with your family, you got to know your brothers and you got to know your sisters and you got to know your family members a bit better. You got to know people better. You got to get out of the car and eat a diner and um, talk to people that weren't from the same street that you were from, weren't from the same block, weren't from the same town. You got to stand around a gas pump or a rest stop and meet people. I remember one year we were on a road trip to Montreal, Canada. My father used to love to go to Montreal, and we were driving up 87, the quick way up there, and we stopped at a rest stop, and I don't know, I was 10, 12 years old, something like that, and there was this really cute girl, and she was in a car with her family, and I don't know how we struck up a conversation just standing by the bathrooms. Don't do that these days, kids. You could get in trouble. And so for the next, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours, we would be passing each other, waving at each other. We had like kind of it felt like you made a little friend, just waving at them. Never saw her again or anything like that, but you had a road friend. Things like that would happen when you were traveling with your family. It was cute. It was innocent. It was a lot of fun. And people are trying to grab that nostalgia, trying to grab that. So some people are renting classic cars and taking a road trip in that same kind of car that they took a road trip with, or a very similar car to it. And they're paying good money to get a good car and good running condition. Not necessarily buying it, but leasing it or renting it for a month or 10 days or 2 weeks or a summer, and taking that family road trip. No nav system, no air conditioning in a lot of cases, just the rain, the park, and other things. And I'm thinking that these are very enriching experiences for people. Now, the way it cannot be an enriching experience is if before you go, you don't do some of the things that you got to do to make sure that you have a good trip, like check your car out, make sure your car is mechanically sound, make sure that you have certain things with you, make sure that you do things with this car, because you're not in a situation where you can pull every car into a gas station. The guy's going to know how to fix it, or they're going to have the parts for it. You have to be prepared. It's like the old Boy Scout thing, being prepared. And one of the things I was lucky enough to do this week is I got a hold of my good friend Andy Lilienthal from Crankshaft Culture. Andy is a dear friend. Him and his wife Mercedes are kind of, I call them our resident adventurers. They go through all these rally things, overlanding, and so on and so forth. And they really got it down when it comes to this kind of thing. They are rally race participants. They're champions. And the best part of it is they're really cool people who are very smart when it comes to this kind of stuff and are not afraid to answer a question that you might have about anything to do with what they know about. They're very giving people. So I got a chance to catch up with Andy yesterday and spend some time talking to Andy about if you're going to do this, if you're going to investigate this, taking a classic car on a road trip, what do you got to know? What are the pitfalls? Because, again, it's not a plug-and-play experience. you're going to have to educate yourself. You're going to have to put yourself in a position that if you get stuck, if something goes wrong, you can help yourself out on the road. So here's my conversation. Back to Drive Time Radio this Saturday morning. New York, Vinnie hanging out with you on I'm hoping that it's beautiful out there. I haven't opened the blinds yet, but I think we're in that kind of 50-50 time of year where you can say, okay, I think it's going to be nice enough to get out on the road. At least that, okay? Give me that at least. Or it's going to be raining, one or the other. Anyway, we're thinking about going on the road now. One of the things you get to start to do this time of year is say, okay, I got this car. I want to take it somewhere. Where am I going to take it? Where am I going? Am I doing it? Am I going across country? Am I going to Utah? Am I driving to Aunt Millie's house in Wisconsin? Where am I going? And what am I taking? A popular thing these days, especially here on the West Coast, is for people to take older cars. Not just in the fact that they can't afford a new car or something like that, but there's something that brings back nostalgia about taking a ride in maybe a car you took a trip in 50 years ago with your parents. You know, if you could take that trip with that 64 Impala that you took the cross-country trip with your parents 40 years ago or 30 years ago, it's kind of a connection. Andy Lilienthal is with us, and Andy, of course, has been on our show many times before with his wife Mercedes and by himself. Crankshaft Culture is his website, and you can also find him on Facebook with the community. They have this great group of people that talk about cars all the times, the ins and outs, the odds, the not so odds. If you're into the, and I always screw this up, K cars.
Yep.
K cars. Okay, because it's not a key car, it's a K car, and
Correct.
not the old Chryslers, but the smaller things like the Delicas from Mitsubishi and all those different smaller cars that people love to bring over from Japan. This is the man that knows about them. And he's with us because he wrote a great article that you should run to crankshaftculture.com and take a look at if you're taking an older car on a trip. Andy, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good. Thanks for jumping on with us for a couple of minutes. You're not the first person I've heard this from about the want, and I don't know if it ties into the 100th year of Route 66 or if people are getting a little bit more daring. It couldn't be the price of gasoline, that's for sure, because it's probably going to cost you more in that respect. But there seems to be a trend in getting older cars and taking them out on the road, taking that road trip. Is that something you're seeing as you're observing the automotive world these days?
You know, I think there's something that is so Americana about taking a good old-fashioned road trip. And I think that there's something that's also exciting about taking something that is maybe not a brand new vehicle, because it adds another layer of complexity. And I know that there's kind of, people that are my age in their 40s and 50s and whatnot, they have nostalgia for vehicles maybe from the 70s, 80s, even the 90s, and they want to take them on trips. And so I think that I have seen more people that are interested in it. It kind of depends on the circles that you run in. I know we go to a lot of the overlanding style shows, a lot of those rallies and events, and people are driving all sorts of stuff from the 80s and 90s these days.
And it's, it's a different thing when you take an older car. You take a new car and you have the luxury of the warranty. You have the luxury of availability of parts. You have the luxury of the luxurious car. It's the cars today are built better than they ever have been. Cars that were built in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s may not have the kind of build quality, shall we say, that cars today have. And so if you're smart, you're going to check your car out. You're not just going to jump in it, throw the kids, the dog, everything, the cooler and everything, and head out, 90 East. You're going to start to do your homework a little bit. You're going to make sure that your car is in good shape, is roadworthy, and can take those trips, over things like the Rocky Mountains, across the Great Plains, through the desert, the high desert, Utah, all of the places that, and I've done this drive across country, 30 times if I've done it once. And with an older car, it's never easy. You have to check your car out. There's just no two ways about it. You got to do your diligence before you leave home base with that car. What are some of the things that where you should start on you checking the car out?
Yeah, even if it's a brand new car, on a brand new car, you may check the oil, check the tire pressure, make sure your wiper fluid is topped off. On an older car, there's more things to check out. The cooling system, making sure that your antifreeze is topped off, making sure your water pump works, making sure your hoses aren't cracked or are going to fail. You also want to check things like your brakes, make sure you have enough brake material left on your either your shoes or your pads, and make sure your rotors are in good shape. Other things to check out, just fluids. If you hop in your 2026 Subaru or whatever it might be, and you hit the road, you're probably going to be totally fine. If I'm getting in my 91 Mitsubishi, I'm going to be checking the gear, the axles, make sure the gear fluid's topped up, transmission fluid's topped up. Some of these older vehicles, they leak, right? Of course, there's the joke: if it's leaking, it means it has fluid. So maybe if it's not leaking, you should check. No, but honestly, though, making sure your brake fluid is good. All these things that older cars can have problems with. So just go to the nth degree. I say this because I've learned from failing on this. There have been times where I have been far away from home and realized, what's that sound? The dreaded, oh no, what's that smell? Is that my car? And it was. And so I've broken down because I didn't take my own advice on some of this stuff. So making sure that you're good to go. I also highly recommend the shakedown run. So after you've maybe checked everything, maybe you're doing the brakes before you leave, or maybe you're switching out a fan belt or something like that. Go take it for a healthy shakedown run. Bring it up to highway speeds. Make sure that it's going to be completely competent for wherever you're going, whether that's just across the county or across the country.
Right. Because for a couple of different reasons, you want it. If you put belts in, you want to let them break in a little bit. If you're putting brakes in, you want to let them seat in right. And also, you want to check that what you did was right. I mean, how many of us have put an alternator belt on and left the bolt a little too loose, or
this guy right here,
exactly, and you're looking at him. We were talking earlier about some of these cars that people are bringing into the country, the K cars, especially those cars. I think are a lot of fun to take on the road because you have an instant conversation starter. Anywhere you go outside of the West Coast or the East Coast, and you stop in a rest stop, you stop at a diner, you stop to get something to eat, people are going to gather around those cars. They want to know what it is. There's a cool factor about those. The flip side of that cool factor is very hard to get parts for. If something does happen with those cars, the Boy Scout motto is the best: be prepared. What is being prepared with a K car? With one of those imported cars that's not a common import in this country look like?
Yeah, so I don't personally own any K cars because I live in Oregon and you can't register them, but I do have 3 Japanese market 4-wheel drive cars, and it means making sure you have spare parts with you. You're not bringing everything to rebuild the engine on the side of the road, but let's say it's hard to get thermostats or maybe a set of brake rotors. I carry what I jokingly call my brake job in a box for my 94 Mitsubishi Delica. I cannot get the front rotors in the United States. So when I take a long road trip, if I'm going across country or whatnot, I bring a box that has the rotors in there. I have a set of glow plugs, things I just can't get. So I always say if there's those, problematic things or they're hard to find, bring them with you, because finding out you can't get them when you're broke down is not the time. So after making sure everything is ready to go, make sure you do bring those spares with you. And then, boy, you make a great point. When you road trip something that's unique, I oftentimes say these cars are not for extroverts. If you don't want to have every Tom, Dick, and Harry asking you about your vehicle at the gas station, just stick to the more common cars. I have had to tell people, like, I would love to talk all day, but I've got to make some miles. So yeah, they're definitely conversation starters.
And don't think the guy that's pulling you up behind you is giving you the finger. He's waving at you because he's never seen that particular car. I mean, again, when you get into, the interstates, when you get into the Montanas, you get into the the Wisconsins and stuff, these cars aren't as common. Where here we see them a lot, and you look at them and you say, oh, there goes another one of those. Andy, if is it worth it for me to take my older car to a mechanic and put it up on the lift before I go and then walk, if the mechanic will let me, or try to find a place where the mechanic will let me walk under the car with them and take a look at things like fittings, four-wheel drive boots, U-joints, drive shafts, rear end, front differential seals and everything like that. Is that worth the $100 you're going to give a mechanic to put the car up on the lift?
Absolutely. If you're not a wrench, if you're not somebody who works on your own cars and you're wanting to take your classic out, it is 100% worth it to have a trusted mechanic take a look at it, because I guarantee you, if you're paying him or her $100, it's going to be far less than a long distance tow back home. So absolutely, bring the car into your mechanic, have them look at it. And, if it needs a CV boot, if it needs all the fittings greased, it's probably going to be a lot less expensive than breaking down somewhere.
Especially if you're going, let's say, toward the Southwest or even out to the Palouse, where there's a lot of dust. It's the high desert, and that dust gets into into those shafts and things like that, and it'll eat the grease up like nothing. And next thing you know, you're in for a huge repair. What's a good primer kind of kit to carry of stuff? I mean, everybody should carry some kind of toolkit, but belts, hoses, points, plugs, remember those kids, but you should have at least, I would say, an essential kit of things. And please don't forget a good flashlight with spare batteries. But you should have those things at the very minimum to do something if you do get stuck. God forbid that you do, but if you do get stuck, you're going to need to have at least some basic rudimentary tools to carry with you to fix, because a lot of these things on the older cars, that's the great thing, you can fix them on the side of the road. A screwdriver, a pair of pliers, and a wire cutter, a wire stripper, and a 9/6 or a metric box set or a will fix 90% of the things that go wrong.
Yeah, I always travel with my toolkit. I actually have two toolkits. I have my full toolkit. It's a soft-sided tool bag, but it's got all the wrenches in it. Most of my vehicles only use metric stuff, but even so I have that. If I'm really going a long distance, I want all the tools with me. If I'm going just a shorter distance, I will bring a set of metric tools that I know are common. So your basic, your 10 mil, 13, 17, 19, and then a few wrenches, a couple of Allen bolts, Allen wrenches, a set of pliers, and some fuses, and I'm generally good to go. The other thing too, know how to change a tire and make sure that you have a jack and tire iron. Also make sure that your spare tire is aired up, because a flat spare tire isn't going to do anybody any good. But I can't tell you how many times I've run across people who have the car up on the jack and then realize that their lug wrench is at home in the garage. So make sure you have those tools. Make sure you know how to change a tire. Make sure you know where your tire changing parts and pieces are.
And I would also say, and one of my suggestions is always, and listen, I know how to fix a lot of things on a car, but one of the best things that I've ever purchased, and I used to own a AAA station earlier in my lifetime, is to have that AAA membership, to have some roadside membership. We're not endorsing AAA. They happen to be the best one who is just about everywhere. There's probably no place in this country that you can get stuck and not get reached by a AAA tow truck or a service truck for a boost or a change or something like that. But for the, I don't know, 50, 60, whatever it is now to join and to have that protection, it's the best insurance you'll ever buy, because they will come out at 1 o'clock in the morning to Okefenokee. I left my stuff in Mamoki Oklahoma, to get to help you and get your car securely to where it at least where you can get it fixed.
Totally agree. Yeah, I've been a AAA member for eons, probably since I was 16, and I'm 47 now. Even if you, again, I'm not necessarily endorsing AAA, but I mean, even if you get your $75, membership, usually make up for it in the discounts at a lot of places, not only just auto places. But yeah, I mean, if your battery is dead, if you get a flat tire, my mother's 80 years old, she's a AAA member. I want her to have some sort of roadside assistance because I know she's not going to be able to change a tire. But having that is a great idea. Keep that cell phone topped up. If you're really going off the grid, if you're backcountry camping or doing some crazy off-road jaunt, having a satellite device like a Garmin InReach or something like that that can actually send emergency text messages in case of a real emergency, that's also not a bad idea either. They're a little bit of money, but it's a cheap bit of insurance.
I've noticed, and I've been on this now, that the T-Mobile phones are hooked up, I guess, with Starlink, so that you can reach a satellite. Is that something that you should make sure if you have T-Mobile that you have, or should you have a separate satellite phone or a separate Garmin hookup because it goes everywhere? Is there any difference in that?
I'm not real familiar with the T-Mobile thing. I can tell you that we have a Garmin InReach device that has become our standard kit when we take a road trip because despite the fact that you think everywhere has cell phone coverage these days, it doesn't. So carrying something like that is a good idea. The Starlinks work really well. We crossed the United States last year on and off road for about a month, and we brought a Starlink with us, and it was a Starlink Mini, and it was a game changer. It worked really, really, really well. And there's a number of companies out there that actually make mounts for the cars these days, so you can just mount the Starlink to like a spare tire cover or your roof rack, and then you'll have on-the-go internet no matter where you are.
A couple of final words before we let you go. I'm thinking check the oil every time you put gas in the car.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking check the air pressure in the tires every 3 or 4 days, unless one looks a little low or something like that. What else should you be doing on this epic road journey that you're taking the kids on, and they'll never speak to you again after it?
Yeah, so I think that especially on the older cars, keep an eye on that coolant level. You never know, head gaskets go, coolant leaks happen. So just keep an eye on your coolant. And really, I think, keeping an eye on all of those fluids that, once you're on the road, and you keep an ear to the road too, right? It's amazing when you are driving, you hear something like squealing, and is that me? Does the belt need to be tightened? Really, all the senses. I was driving a Jeep one time outside of Las Vegas, and I smelled burning metal. I thought, well, I hope that wasn't me. Well, it was me. I was losing a bearing on on the AC compressor, and unfortunately, that was a part of the serpentine belt, so I couldn't just pull the belt. So I ended up, long story, but I ended up at some guy's house, and we fixed the AC system. But yeah, just keep all those senses aware.
The old trick of carrying a bag of oatmeal with you doesn't work anymore, huh?
Depends. It depends.
Well, folks, it's a great article. If you want to read it, go to crankshaftculture.com. Go on Facebook. Crankshaft Culture Community is on there. You can join it. You can post. You can take some of Andy's and Mercedes' adventures and read them as you're going to sleep at night. And then you can go and get your old, I don't know, what do I was thinking before I called you, what car I would want to take a road trip with across country. So do you have one that you would want to take a road trip with?
Ooh, I'm a big fan of taking a road trip in just about anything. In terms of old cars, there's something to say about, I'd love to take like an old air-cooled Beetle across country, or maybe an old VW bus and camp out of it and all that. So there's a lot of class of those cars, and there's lots of parts availability for them too.
I did it once. I went across the coolest car I ever went across country with, I think, was went across in a 72 Datsun 510.
Oh, yeah.
One of the greatest cars. Still, maybe the most underrated car ever, produced. And I mean, that thing, 110 degrees in the desert, and this thing is just clocking. Click, 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 click.
Very cool car.
Oh, excellent car. Lots of room and, 4-speed stick and just.
Yeah.
And I did it in a 69 Chevy van, the short wheelbase van.
Yeah,
with a mattress, a couple of pillows, and 4 friends. And
there you go.
And a lot of lubrication. It was a very well lubed trip. So don't lube yourself, kids. Andy, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate, Andy, you taking a couple of minutes to more than a couple of minutes to write it, but to put the information out there, because people, I think, I got a funny feeling we're going to see people hitting the road, and not just in campers this year, but in their cars. And things are expensive. It's expensive to go on a road trip and do a hotel. So if you do one night in a hotel and 2 nights in the car, 1 night in a hotel, 2 nights in the car, maybe you can take that cross-country trip you wanted to, or go to Florida or something like. Well, don't go to Florida. Go somewhere else.
Well, thanks for having me on, Vinny. I always appreciate it.
Anytime, my friend. Take care of yourself. That's Andy Lilienthal of crankshaftculture.com. There's Andy. We got him. We're here somewhere. Oh, man. Andy. There we go. Andy Lilienthal, thank you so much, Andy, for joining us and giving us some tips on if you're gonna, buzz in and check it out. If you're listening on the comments, I certainly would love to know if you, one of these people, that is this an idea that's appealing to you, even if it's not appealing to you. What the heck? What classic car would you love to take a trip cross country in? It's the 100th anniversary of Route 66. A lot of people are talking about getting on the road this summer. It's that time of year where you make the plans. If I came to your house and said to you, okay, you can pick out any car in the collection of any classic car. Let's keep it with classic cars. What car would you love to take a trip across country in? You can get a hold of me. Of course, you can go to our comments here. You can leave it on any of our social media channels. And also Vinnie, Vinnie, at drivetime-radio.com. So which classic car would you love to take a trip across country in? I was talking about the 510. But there's also one of the best cars I ever took a trip in, and I'll never forget this car as long as I live, is my dad had for a while a 68 Ford Country Squire with the wood paneling on it, the 9-passenger wagon. So you had, 3 seats in the front, 3 seats in the middle, and then you could fit 3 people in the back seat facing out the back, and had like that 2-way door that you could get in and get out back there. And it was just so much space in that car that you could stretch out and just enjoy it. And it had the reverb unit in it. So when you put on the rock and roll music, it had the reverb going, and air conditioning with ports in the back, and the stepped up roof and everything. Really, what a great car. And a rode like a Cadillac, man. I mean, that car rode beautifully. And I remember we took a road trip in that thing, and my mom and dad stayed in a motel room, and the kids, we slept in the back of the car. That was adventure for us. We slept in the back of the car. We had blankets and a sleeping bag and stuff like that. We were taking a road trip to summer camp, and it was so cool. It was like this great camping adventure, And as I've been thinking about this, I was just saying to myself, man, what a great car to get one of those, to find a Ford Country Squire or a Mercury Park Lane, I think was their version of that. It's funny, the GM wagons, which was the Brookwood and the Greenwood, and those, they weren't as good as the Ford wagons. I mean, they had power and there were some cool ones. I remember my dad had a 65, wasn't an Impala, might have been a Biscayne wagon with a 396 with a 4 on the floor. I think it was a rocker. There was a Muncie or a rock crusher. And that car was fast. Man, was it fast. But it didn't have the same luxury that Country Squire had, man. That thing was like driving in a limousine. It was just so beautifully done. The Ford engineers back in those days knew how to build a station wagon. And they did their best, man, and they did a nice job. I'll never forget that car. I would love to take a trip cross country in one of those babies. All right, let's see what else we got going here. All right, let's get rid of that one, and let's get rid of that one, and let's punch up. There is a couple of things here that we want to put in there. We'll do the full review on this vehicle next week, but I really gotta, I'm a massaging seats kind of guy. I love massaging seats. As I said last week, and have said, if you want to knock down the incidences of road rage in this country, make massaging seats the standard in every car sold in America. Make them standard, and you'll have no problems. And one of the best massaging seats that I have run into in the past couple of years, this one is in the Volkswagen Tiguan. Now, this Volkswagen Tiguan, like I said, I had a full review of it for you next week. But this car had such good massaging seats that I thought that these seats deserved their own separate mention, their own separate review, because they were by far, and they might have been the best massaging seats, not only of economy cars, but maybe of any car I've driven, certainly this year, and maybe for the past few years. When you when you got into this thing and you sat down in a seat, you turned the heat on, and you got going in this Tiguan R-Line, and you hit that. There's a little button. The only really, not even as a failure, but the only thing about this thing that was a little strange is you had to reach down to the side of the street to hit a button, side of the seat to hit a button to get it going. But once you got the thing going, everything came up on the screen here, and it was adjustable in so many ways, so many options in this thing of massaging you with heat, massaging you up the back, massaging your buttocks, massaging, doing a slow crawl up your back, doing a up and down kind of kneading motion, doing it from the center out, outside in. It was truly, whoever sat in these seats and designed them spent some time and put some thought into these massaging seats. As a matter of fact, these seats were so good that I wish that I could get a pair for my car just to put them in and wire them in there. That's how good these seats are. And again, these are the seats out of the 2026 Volkswagen Tiguan, which is one of the sleepers in this compact SUV category. And as I said, we'll do a full review on it next week. But what just when you talk about engineering and you talk about thoughtfulness and you talk about comfort that you would expect, I mean, this is Audi type engineering, Audi type placement of massaging seats in a car that costs much less than an Audi. And between the heat and the way these seats were programmed to make you feel, and the way it just caressed your back, your lower back, it so relaxed you that I found myself taking longer ways around places I was driving so that I could stay in this car. I actually sat one night in the Winco parking lot, just sitting there and getting a massage from this really this piece of engineering that was just so perfect. I don't know if the chiropractors or the Automotive Therapists Association or whatever give out an award for massaging seats, for making people feel better. But I know this, that when I got out of this car at night and I came into the house, I was so thankful that I got to spend the day driving this vehicle. And friends that I took with me in this vehicle felt the same way. To a person, everybody got in this thing, went along, and they just were amazed at how good these seats were. So as I said, we'll have a full review on this vehicle next week. But if you're in the market, if you're saying to yourself, well, I'm looking for a small wagon, compact SUV. Haven't heard much about the Tiguan. Well, you're hearing it here first. This Tiguan was stunningly beautiful. Hit well above its batting average in luxurious appointments. You can see the dashboard there and the wood trim and everything, and the electronics and the infotainment system, the big screen in the middle, but also the control and the ability to set those seats for you and the passenger the way that you wanted them, to give you the maximum amount of comfort and heat and therapeutic massage where you need it. Now, I'm not saying that this is like carrying a massage therapist in the back seat of the car with you, but it sure is close. So if you get a chance, and if you're thinking of a car along these lines, walk, don't run, walk to the Volkswagen dealer and go check them out and go see these and feel these massaging seats. I think this is a heck of a car, this Volkswagen Tiguan. It's quickly become my favorite car in the category of compact SUVs. And I think this is going to be a huge seller for Volkswagen. And, listen, they've had their problems, has Volkswagen, but you couldn't tell it by driving the Tiguan. And this is, I hope that these seats make it into the Scout. That's coming up. I'm looking forward to getting a chance to drive the Scout that's coming out. It's going to be at our Mudfest event this year. So we hear, nothing confirmed, but let me tell you, what a vehicle this is supposed to be. I hope these seats make it into it. So we'll have the full review with the Tiguan next week and be able to tell you about that particular vehicle as well. All right, get ready to wrap this thing up here. We do have, of course, don't want to leave you without an edition of Yo, Vinnie, what are you driving this week? So let's see if I can quickly punch up for you. Yo, Vinnie, What are you driving this week? Where are we? There we go. This is what I'm driving this week, and this is the car that I am loving. This is your subcompact Mazda CX-30. And if you know me, you know that I am a big fan of Mazda. And I love the way the Mazda drives. I love the fact that you get such a bang for your buck as far as a vehicle that is uh, constructed with craftsmanship, with fine materials, with an engine and transmission that is seems to be reliable and seems to be a I don't know, their Sky Active system just does the trick for me. It really is a vehicle that, when you get in it, when you start to drive this thing, especially when you get on I-5 or you get on 90 and you start to drive out of town, you see and hear and feel the difference of a Mazda over most other vehicles in the class. That's not to say anything against, because the Mazda has its shortcomings in some places as well. It's not as roomy as you'd probably like it to be. It's a little loud, but if you are a person that enjoys that sheer elation of driving a sports car that's dressed up in an SUV clothing, if you are a person that doesn't need 9 million electronic devices to show them how to drive. You don't need the heads up display. I mean, it's there. You can get it if you want, but you don't need, you're a driver. You learned how to drive a long time ago, and you want a vehicle that responds and respects you as a driver. I think that the Mazda CX-30 does that, and does that in a great fashion. And as I said, it really hits the nail on the head. It respects you as a driver. Now, one of the shortcomings of this vehicle is that it's small. You don't get a lot of back seat room. If you're a guy like me that likes to have that front seat back, you better know some people with some short legs, because you're not going to get the kind of back seat room, that you're going to be carrying around three teenagers with you. Just doesn't work that way. You give up a little bit on that. But as far as a vehicle that you can load stuff from a garage sale in, as far as a vehicle that you can um, feel comfortable driving, as far as a vehicle that looks stylish. And again, as you go through this vehicle and you see things like the stitching in the dashboard, the stitching in the seat, the feel of the steering wheel and the dashboard materials, it all feels like quality stuff. Doesn't feel like there's a cheap piece of plastic anywhere in this vehicle. And you add that to the sporty driving dynamics, the feeling of taking this thing up a curvy road and jumping on it a little bit, feeling like it's going to hole a road. And this CX-30 feels like it does the trick for you. And it's not going to cost you $1 million to own this car, which is, when you get into that BMW X1, the Audi Q3, the GLA for Mercedes, um, even the Taos and the Trailblazer. Now, the Taos and Trailblazer give you some more space, but if you're a person that doesn't need all that space, if you want to start to get into what used to be Mazda speed territory, this vehicle comes close to it. The particular model I'm driving is the 26 CX-30 2.5 S Air Edition. I think they're a little crazy for naming the color Snowflake White Pearl. Those are fighting words to some people I know, if you call them a snowflake. But the CX-30, as I said, does the trick in that respect. A tight, sporty feeling chassis, great interior. It's loaded with standard features without going overboard. It's not over-engineered. As a driving enthusiast, as a person who loves to drive a car, this car wins me over. But it's small. It's a small car. Get the turbo in this thing. The one that you want is you want the turbo. I wish this was a stick shift. I really be slapping this thing around the Joe, driving this thing around. But again, a ton of standard equipment on this thing. The nav system is better than adequate. Although I don't know why anybody gets a nav system these ways with the phone and everything. But as I said, a ton of standard equipment. The color scheme on this thing, the black wheels, the blackout grille and everything, the fender protectors around the tires, not only give it an aggressive, tough look, but it also does a lot toward, if you do take it off-road, not chipping the paint, giving you some wear and some nice protection against some of the life's things that happen. The CX-30 from Car and Drivers ranked at their number 2 for their compact SUVs. And the Air Edition, which is part of the preferred trim, goes upscale with luxury. I love the gray and white seats and the black, as I said, 18-inch wheels. And the ability to have a vehicle that you can put through its paces, flip that thing into sport mode, and go crazy on a safe road or on the track. 250 horsepower, turbocharged engine. You got to get the expensive trim. Standard engine is okay, but boy, if you can go for that turbo, you get that preferred trim. You get the 8-way power adjustable driver's seat, blind spot monitoring and that stuff. The regular engine is a natural 191 horsepower, 2.5 liter engine. And of course, the all-wheel drive is standard across the lineup. $33,130. This is a lot of car for $33,130 sticker price. Okay, this is a lot of car for $33,000. I see people all the time and they're complaining $50,000. 50, this, that 50, 60, 70. You could buy some pretty darn good cars for well under $50,000. Well under $50,000. And I'll show you again. We were talking about the Volkswagen a little while ago with the massaging seats and everything. Well, that car loaded to the bone, 45K. And I mean, the craftsmanship, the build on the car, the way the car is set up, it feels like it's a $60,000 or $70,000 car, I think. And as I said, by the way, look at that, a full-size spare. I didn't even mention that. You get an actual tire in there. So anyway, that's the Mazda CX-30. That's the Yo Vinnie, what are you driving this week? And again, 188 horsepower, hill launches, is everything you could want in a vehicle. Wireless phone charger, Apple CarPlay, Apple Android, Alexa is built in. Here's another car I got to make a friend with now, Alexa. Anyway, great job and a great vehicle. And we thank our folks at Mazda for letting us squire that car around for a week. All right. That's going to, as the comedians always say in the clubs, that's my time. I'm going to wrap it up at this point. Sorry we joined you a little bit late this morning. As I said, technical problems which we endeavor every week to try to work out and try to make a little bit better. But we hope we entertained you. Thanks a lot to Andy Lilienthal from Crankshaft Culture. Check out his stuff on Facebook. Join the Crankshaft Culture community, and enjoy the brother and sisterhood of other car enthusiasts. Hopefully, as I said, I'm going to try to get down next week to the Edmonds Cars and Coffee. The weather is getting nicer, so hopefully we'll be able to join that and spend some time and get out and see you and greet you, and spend a little time talking cars with you. Thank you, of course, to George Jackson, my good friend George Jackson. If you are looking for business types of pens and the tchotchkes that you give away in goodie bags at your golf tournaments, pens, t-shirts, golf tees with your name, your business name imprinted on them, all of these kinds of things that people that go to these golf tournaments this time of year, when they start hitting the golf courses, the Joe expect to see in their goodie bag. Even the goodie bags themselves, George has them. He prints them. He does it right. He makes them. He gets them. He delivers them to you. No hassle whatsoever. And he's a good guy to do business with. He's aces in my book. A good human being as well. So if you need that kind of a business promotional item, gjpromo.com is the way to go. George Jackson, a good friend of mine. I hope you'll look him up if you need that kind of thing. I will join you Monday with Michael Knight, Monday morning at 10:10 for another edition of Mikey and Vinnie Take on the World. I know I missed yesterday and the week before, a couple of days, a few little health problems that I'm trying to get taken care of, and hopefully get that stuff out of the way, get caught up with everything that I'm supposed to get caught up with, and we'll hang out together. You and I, we'll go have lunch. We'll hang, you and me. All right, see you next week if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise. Also, remember, peace, love, and as Sammy Davis Jr. would say, Manischewitz. That's Drive Time. I'm out of here. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you Monday morning with Mikey right here on this wonderful thing called the internet and social media, broadcasting to the world from our little studio here in beautiful Edmonds, Washington. Thank you. Have a good one.